Late one night, after returning home from a holiday break, Tommy looked at his calendar and realized that he had an exam the following day. With no preparation, Tommy began to stress out. His amygdala assessed the information received from his senses and formed his initial response to the stress and fear. The amygdala also triggered two action chains, one of which went to the sympathetic nervous system and the other to the frontal cortex. The arrival of information to the sympathetic nervous system caused the secretion of epinephrine and norepinephrine, as well as increase in heart rate, pupil dilation, and shaking. The information received by the frontal cortex allowed for reappraisal of emotion and arousal information, as well as conscious control of emotional and behavioral responses.
Adaptive Tommy took an approach orientation to the situation. Rather than giving up, Tommy reappraised his racing heart and shaking and took the situation as a challenge. By reappraising the situation, Tommy was able to reduce his anxiety and decrease his attention to threat-related information. Tommy also experienced positive appraisals by rethinking the situation. He was not dreading the situation, but rather was eager to do well. This allowed Tommy to sit down, focus, and study for his exam without fearing the outcome. By reappraising the situation, Tommy drastically improved the outcome of his situation. Tommy was able to reduce his stress, turn his fear and stress into motivation, and improve his emotional and coping outcomes. In the future, Tommy was more attentive to his schedule and coped better in stressful situations.
Unlike adaptive Tommy, maladaptive Tommy took an avoidance orientation to the situation. Rather than reappraising the situation, Tommy let fear, nervousness, and anxiety cloud his judgment. Unable to think clearly, Tommy focused on all of the bad things that could result from the situation. Unable to deal with the thought of doing poorly on the test and ruining his possibility at a good job, Tommy began to panic. Tommy saw no other option but to accept defeat and despair because there was no way he could prepare for the exam in such a short amount of time. By not reappraising the situation, Tommy never learned how to adapt and approach orientation and thus never properly learned how to cope in a stressful situation.